Some of you might actually be wondering what the psychological effects of the operation actually are. I don't know how much I addressed this topic in the past, but there are two major elements of the operation that really make the big difference when it comes to how you're going to feel and how you're going to respond. The first one is repetition. Repetition is everything. So it's like if you learn psychology, I've never taken psychology, but if you learn psychology, you kind of know that humans respond to certain situations predictably. And if you're sadistic and you learn psychology, you probably could learn ways of using a human's nature as a weapon against them, which I think is basically the foundation of the stalking. What you're doing is you're using human nature as a weapon. Like, you learn about how the mind works, how people, how their emotions work, and you use it in an evil way. Like, you sort of manipulate it so that you can be evil and sadistic to somebody. So that doesn't really fall into the spiritual category, but it is super relevant. Because spiritual or not, you're still a human being. You're still a person. And as a human being, you're going to respond to situations in a human way. So if you're a gang stalker and you have something to prove, or you're just a really sadistic, nasty person, well, I mean, you can learn how the human mind works, and you can basically undermine a person's their emotional state, or you can manipulate it. And I think that is like one of the major elements of the stalking, is that you're using human nature against a person. So the repetition, I would imagine, I never studied psychology, but I would imagine that's super important. And the other is the notion that the world is out to get you in the first place, and which makes a person feel as though they're completely alone. Like, you don't have any friends, if you don't have anybody who's really looking out for you, so you're basically been completely isolated. So not only do you have a bunch of people who are out to get you, but you live in a world that really just doesn't care about you in the first place. So when you put those two things together, it really does start to break a person down mentally. So you have people who are being horrible to you, who are using psychology, human nature against you constantly. And you know that the people that you live around are all working against you. So you're completely alone. So like I mentioned in the other video that I just posted, the fact that a person is completely alone is a big deal. And the fact that this has been going on probably my entire life is also a big deal. And I'd have to say that, the former is more important than the latter, but both are important. But like, even as a spiritual person, being a spiritual person means that you overcome these things. It doesn't mean that you're not a human being. It doesn't mean that you're not a person. Like, okay, of the people, like these gang stalkers, they harass me all day long and they use psychology. I have to basically overcome human nature if I want to live around them. So understand what I'm saying. I'm overcoming human nature. They study psychology, and they are so evil and sadistic that instead of helping people with psychology, they use it to destroy people, and in the most sadistic, hideous, nasty, just monstrous way you could ever use that. So what they're basically doing is using a human's nature against them. So a spiritual person has to be it has to be better than a human. So what that means is that you have to be better than a normal human being if you want to get past the operation, which is hard to do if you think about it, and I don't have to explain why that would be hard. So basically, I'm expected to be better than a normal human being, because I can almost promise you that these people use psychology itself. They use their knowledge of how the human mind works, how people's feelings work against people. So like, that's a big thing to get past. So when people are involved in these operations, the people who are doing it, whether it be the government or some sort of evil cult, have a knowledge of psychology, a good enough knowledge of psychology that they know triggers, they know, certain things to do. They probably use forms of hypnosis. I mean, these people are using their knowledge of the human mind as a weapon. Okay, I don't know how the lights work. Like, I know they like using lights. It's probably a form of hypnosis. So these people are using their knowledge of the human mind against us. It's not like they're just being assholes. This is not them being assholes. This is them using their knowledge of the human mind, psychology, and all this stuff as a weapon. They've weaponized their knowledge of how the human mind works, and they're using it to destroy people, which is why the operation is probably pretty effective. So spirituality allows you to transcend basically human nature itself. You have to be able to do that, or you wouldn't stand a chance. These people would drive you crazy. They would study psychology, and they would say, hey, we know what to do in order to break a man's mind. They probably use this. We don't know where this came from. They probably use this maybe in interrogations in, Guantanamo Bay or whatever these people have learned. They have weaponized it, and they are using it to destroy people. That's what they do. So the point is that in order to beat it, you have to be better than a human. You can't even really be a human, not a normal human, in order to get past it. Either that, or you have to really be a lighthearted person. I'm just saying, like, I'm not bragging or anything, because I'll be the first to tell you that I think that it was spirituality itself and God that gave me the ability to transcend it. I don't really believe it came from me. I mean, I can't prove that it came from me. I can't have proof, but let's just say it's a feeling. Like, I was made to be able to beat the operation because God knew that at some point in time I would have to face it. So it made sense for him to give me the ability to get past it. That makes sense. So the reason why I feel like I got past it was because I was created with the ability to get past it because God knew it was coming. But I mean, of course, like I said, that's just my belief. I'm just here to kind of explain to people how this stuff works so that you have a better understanding. It doesn't mean, if you react, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that the people who are toying with you have studied psychology and they know how to use psychology against you. That's what they're doing. It doesn't mean it's not a reflection of who you are. If you respond to these people, you're a human being and you're going to respond the way a human being would respond because you're a human being. Anybody who studies any living creature can start to understand how creatures respond in certain situations. Dog trainers, people who deal with cats, they know that they do certain things and the animals respond a certain way, and humans are the exact same way. The gang stalkers simply have learned how to weaponize it to destroy people with their knowledge of the human mind, and that's why they're so effective. With that said, let me go ahead and close out now.